Alabama Congressman Mike Rogers held a town hall-style meeting in Phenix City on Thursday, talking about this year's session of Congress and answering questions. The Alabama Republican told the crowd that he voted against the stimulus bill because there was not enough time to read it, and the Democrats did not consult with Republicans on the bill.
They introduced it at 11 o'clock on Thursday night and wanted it voted on the next morning at 10 o'clock. It was over 1,000 pages. Not a single member of Congress read that bill. It was not humanly possible. Of course, I voted against it. They won't let me read it. I'm not voting for it. But the bigger problem was they didn't work with anybody on the other side of the aisle to draft it. If the truth is, I was looking for an excuse to vote for the stimulus bill. I wanted to because, like you, I'm worried about the economic future. And I wanted to see a bill passed that would help get our economy jump started and create some jobs.
Rogers said that the cap-and-trade bill that passed the House of Representatives earlier this year was a strategic mistake by Democrats, and blamed House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's ego for the way it was pushed through.
That was a strategic mistake on part of the majority, to put that first. That was Nancy Pelosi's ego to prove she could pass it, because the critics were saying there's no way she can pass that bill out of the House. And by the way, it's still in the Senate. It's probably going to die there. The Senate, I understand, is going to come up with their own bill, which is more reasonable, and try to pass it. But she was able to prove to her West Coast environmental friends that she could get it out of the House.
The primary focus of the meeting was health care. On that topic, Rogers warned that over in the Senate, Majority Leader Harry Reid was planning to use a procedural tactic to maneuver around a filibuster in order to pass a public option.
They're saying we're going to split when it gets to us. And we're going to put the financial part, we're going to put the public option in that, and we're going to pass it on a purely 51 vote deal. So that would allow him to tell 10 of his Democrats, I don't need your help. Get 50 of them cobbled together, and then have the Vice President come over and break the tie.
After addressing the crowd for the first half of the scheduled one-hour meeting, Representative Rogers took the meeting into overtime, answering questions for nearly 90 minutes. While most of the crowd was supportive of the four-term congressman, some expressed dissatisfaction with his statements and positions. Rogers expressed approval for a suggestion that medical scholarships be offered in exchange for serving in small and understaffed hospitals and medical offices. He added that he's been pushing for additional money for medical schools.
But he talked about something I really like, and I've been talking about not just the scholarship idea, but we need to spend money. If we're going to spend federal money to deal with health care, let's invest in some of our universities putting medical schools in and expanding existing medical schools to train more doctors and do exactly what he said. If you'll agree to spend at least 5 years in a poor rural community as a family primary care physician, we'll pay you entire tuition to go through medical school. Because here's what I'm convinced of. Just like I told you that I live here because I want my kids to grow up like you. If these folks come and live in rural America for 5 years, they won't leave, because this is a pretty sweet place to live.
The Congressman addressed the growing dissatisfaction with Congress, noting the calls to replace all members of both houses. He said that a massive cleaning house backlash by voters would ultimately hurt his state if it cost the seat of Alabama's 2 senators.
Throw me out, that's okay. Next year, one of you 2 United States senators is going to be on the ballot, Richard Shelby. And if you think you want to lose Richard Shelby, then you are smoking marijuana. He is an 800-pound gorilla in Washington, D.C. He is incredibly powerful and does enormously good things for the state. You don't want him swept out of office. How many people in this room were proud to see Jeff Sessions leading the charge on the Supreme Court nomination from Alabama? And we've got the top Republican on the Senate Finance Committee and the top Republican on the Senate Judiciary Committee. You know why? Seniority. We are a small state, a little 4 million people, and the only way a small state gets its fair share in Washington is seniority. So you may run me off, but don't run all these other fellows off, because you're going to cut your nose off to spite your face.
Rogers expressed dissatisfaction with the lack of progress on the southwest border fence, which he said was intentionally delayed by the Bush administration. He said he expects the Obama administration to be worse regarding border security. Rogers said the southwest border fence addresses only part of the border problem, citing the northern border as well as the U.S. coastline. This is David Basil reporting.